First business is to do the roll call.
All right, Manager Schotmiller,
Here.
Manager Baki,
I am here.
Manager Taves,
Here.
Manager Schmaltz,
Here.
President Anderson.
Here. Okay. We're missing the one, right?
Nope, that was everything.
That's it.
Okay, all right, good. I didn't hear Manager Taves, but he's here. Oh, there he is. I see him. Okay, very good. Let's move on to the agenda. And if there are any changes. I hear none. Motion to accept the agenda.
I'll move to accept the agenda as printed.
Okay,
Second.
there's a. Okay. Did you see who that was?
That was
Manager Taves?
Manager Taves.
Yeah, okay. All right,
Manager Schotmiller,
Aye.
Manager Baki,
Aye.
Manager Taves,
Aye.
Manager Schmaltz,
Aye.
President Anderson.
aye. Motion carries. The next is the consent agenda. There are 2 minutes from May 28th and June 2nd, which was the budget meeting. Are there any changes? Any comments? Okay, if not, a motion is in order to accept the meeting agendas. Or excuse me, the meeting minutes.
So moved.
Okay, Manager Schotmiller did that. Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, Manager Schotmiller,
Aye.
Manager Baki,
Aye.
Manager Taves,
Aye.
Manager Schmaltz,
Aye.
President Anderson.
Aye. Next item is public open forum. There's no one here at the meeting place. Is there anyone online that would like to address the board? Do you see anyone online?
There's no one raising their hand right now. And no one is.
No visitors?
There's no visitors.
Okay, all right, very good. We'll go ahead and move on. The next is the advisory committee update.
I believe Aiden is on.
Okay, Aiden.
Thank you, Madam President. Managers, attached to the board packet this week is our notes of the Community Advisory Committee. We had a great discussion on a watershed update. We went over our soil testing program, which is part of our residential program. The committee had some great comments on that. We also talked about some additional CAC outreach, some ways for the committee to become more involved in gaining new members, and also members potentially attending Arts in the Park as they did in the past. Then also one more thing would be that Randy Schumacher was our chair this week, and he suggested that we start the meeting off with questions, kind of an open questions period for committee members. So kind of a way to become more engaged and add some more agency to the group. So overall, a very productive meeting.
I have one question on the CAC. We have a member who moved to, I thought it was like their area, but it's actually just east of us in, I think it's Chisago City. And I think he's part of the area for the, they have a lake improvement district there. Is he on that board, Aiden?
Yep. So I believe you're probably referring to Mr. Kramlich, who was appointed to our committee and then has subsequently moved out of the district. So he is remaining on the committee at this time. Yes.
Well, no, my question is he on the LID meeting of board or CAC?
I do not know. It hasn't come up. I can certainly ask. He likely would have discussed that with me, but I'm not familiar.
Okay, well, I think it's important for you to find out. By statute, our CAC members have to be citizens, tax-paying citizens within our boundaries. And he doesn't qualify. There's no, if the person has special, something special to provide to the board, for example, pardon me?
Technical knowledge.
Technical knowledge, yes. If they're engineers or if they're conservationists, for example, those folks are allowed. But he doesn't seem to fit that statutory requirement. So that troubles me, and I think we need to consider what would qualify him to stay on our board. The other thing, of course, is that he's commenting on things for the board, and not living here, so he's not participating in any of those direct activities. So if we could look into that and bring that back to the next board meeting, I think it's worth the board discussing it.
So I can provide a little information based on that statement. So I will talk to Mr. Cranwick and see if he is a member of another advisory committee for the area that he lives in. I'm not, I've only been here for 6 years, so I'm not familiar if the board has if typically a committee member would be removed in the middle of their term if they've moved out of the area. But additionally, I will note that Mr. Cranwick has a background in fiscal analysis and as environmental engineering. So should there be a case that he has some additional technical experience, we could discuss that. I haven't discussed with him whether he's interested in remaining on the committee in the future, but that's certainly information that we can discuss. And yes, for example, right now we have Mr. Kurt Sparks on our committee, who is no longer a resident of the district. And then we have Mr. Mike Mirren, who is also not a resident of the district, both of whom it was considered have some additional qualifications that would make them valuable members.
Okay, well, Kurt's are transparent. I mean, he's an engineer. He was an engineer for the WMO, Forest Lake WMO, for 12 years or so. He has a history of working with engineering firms that do water works. He was a fill-in engineer for the first, not for the first, but for this watershed in the early years as we were getting, our organization put together. So there's no question about his value and his knowledge of the district and so on. So find out what you can and bring that back to the board. We do have statutes that we have to live by. And I just want to make sure that we're doing everything according to what we're supposed to be doing there. All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Next item is the new business, a floodplain resiliency project development budget amendment. Mike, are you holding this, or is Emily?
And President Managers, so I'll let Emily go through this particular item.
Okay, Madam
Okay.
President, Managers, this is just kind of a standard item that we've been doing. We haven't been adding uncertain grants to our budget, and we've had a process of once the grant is confirmed, we would then do a budget amendment. So this one is coming a little bit late. We are sorting out, kind of finalizing that action plan for floodplain resiliency, and then the board just approved that scope of work. So this is just kind of a cleanup item just to reflect the expenditures from that scope of work, and it will be 100% grant covered. So the revenues will equal the expenditures.
Okay, and you need an action on that to accept the amendment, is that correct?
Amend the budget to reflect the expenditures and revenues.
I'll move to amend the 2026 budget for account 5-120-C floodplain resiliency implementation to $49,500 and to transfer $49,500 from account 000-120-C 3300, grants receivable to account 5-120-C.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Rick, hold on.
Manager Schottenheimer.
Aye.
Manager Baki.
Aye.
Manager Taves.
Aye.
Manager Schmaltz.
Aye.
President Anderson.
Aye. Thank you. Passes unanimously. Oh, that's good. The next item, is there anything else, Emily? To this?
Nothing further on that, Adam. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The next item is Bone Lake South Property Management Plan Scope of Work.
Madam President and Managers, Blaine is present to present this memo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Madam President, Managers, before you is a scope of work for Edmonds and Oliver Resources to assist with the development of a management plan for the Bone Lake South Nature Area. Staff have been working and have a 90% draft completed, which details the restoration efforts that we'd like to undertake on the property, as well as the day-to-day management of the property as these restoration efforts are being implemented, and then after those are completed. We're looking to EOR to review and support the development of this management plan. So there's a scope of work attached to this memo indicating their efforts, which would be review and then edits, comments, and help us develop all the different nuances of the plan to make sure that we have a good plan in place and kind of a template moving forward for restoration and management of the property.
Greg, anything to add?
I don't think so. I think it's pretty straightforward. So Jimmy Marty from our office has a lot of background on this. We'll go ahead and review that initial draft and provide technical support as needed.
And what's his specialty? Is he a landscape?
He's a biologist.
Oh, good. Great. Okay.
President
Well,
Anderson,
Yes? Go ahead.
at what, if I could ask a question, at what point will the board get the opportunity to review the plan?
Their plan is right now to go through a review period, assistance from EOR according to the scope of work, make the edits, and then present a final draft to the board after that process is complete. I would estimate that we'd have something ready to present to the board toward the end of the summer.
Thank you.
I think maybe corollary to that is, do we have enough scope from or input from the board on what we want this property to be? Where's your starting point?
That's a great question. The draft that we have currently in place has been developed by staff, talking from conversations we've had with the general public, with managers as well. I kind of view that as once we get a final draft to bring it to the board, we can start having those discussions and hone the management plan further at that point. So it's kind of a good starting point, in my opinion, once we present to the board. I see Mike has his hand up as well.
Madam President and Managers, I guess stepping back a little further, the starting point was the presentation of the grant request now more than 4 years ago, what the intention of the acquisition was for, and the alignment with the Lizard Sam's Outdoor Heritage Fund criteria. We'll package that together and put something to the board prior to getting the management plan in a final version for the board to review again. So that would be a good starting point then to refresh where this all started, because the management plan needs to be in alignment with the funding entity.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's not a final plan that we're going to be seeing. It's a preliminary plan, correct?
Well, the intent is to develop a final draft for the board to review, but but we can start by presenting some information preliminarily that reflects the work that was done by the staff and presented to the board. There's been some number of documents prepared in the review process of the acquisition, or even review of preparing for the grant application. And so we can package that together and make that available for the board probably by the first meeting in July. Then the board can start ruminating, if you will, on those elements and provide feedback to staff, either through the following meeting in July or directly to help further guide any specific elements that might be in it. We can also provide either the framework or a final version of a different one that would be perhaps similar to get an idea of what this would look like.
Okay. I think that answers my question. There's still input to be had by the board over the next several, let's say, weeks, months, maybe, so that we're all clear on what this property will be and will not be.
Yes, and I think that's a good
Mhm.
process to go through. Because then it communicates to the community as well. You will recall Blaine and I did a presentation in late March. Blaine, I think, presented most of the information about the project at the community center. So it would be in alignment with a lot of that information that was provided at that time.
Yeah, I think with some fine points, that's what I'm getting at, is that, there's been talk about having guns in this area for hunting and so forth. People can hunt. We don't want it to be a place where four-wheelers, I've heard that discussion, but I don't know if it's been finalized. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about, is so we've got a very clear message to send and present to the public. When we call something final, we're not there yet. So this is the final preliminary plan for further discussion, right? And input, okay.
Yes, and we can definitely provide a synopsis of those things that are not allowed, some of which you stated already, but others also which you stated is the hunting. So city
Right.
ordinance allows for it, and so it's up to any member of the public on the property to make sure they're conforming to the state law as well, because that's what Scandias is based off of.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you for that clarification. There is a motion before us.
President Anderson, I'll make the motion to direct the administrator on advice of council to enter into an agreement with EOR in accordance with the June 12th, 2026 scope of work in an amount not to exceed $3,461.50, and to direct EOR not to begin work until the grant start date of July 1st, 2026.
There a second?
I will second.
Okay, thank you, Manager Taves. Any further comments? Okay,
All right, Manager Trotmiller,
Aye.
Manager Baki,
Aye.
Manager Taves,
Aye.
Manager Schmaltz,
Aye.
President Anderson.
aye. Motion carries unanimous. Next item is old business, Eurasian water milfoil policy.
Madam President and board managers, I can introduce this topic.
Oh, sorry.
Board members have asked staff to consider EW management, Eurasian water milfoil management on the district's lakes. This topic has been brought up several times in the last years. Those discussions were attached for your consideration and a little bit of background. Currently, the district pays for the delineation, both pre and post treatment for EWM on Forest, Comfort, and Bone Lake. And lake associations currently pay for the cost of those treatments. At the time the district adopted this protocol, the basis was the infeasibility of eradication of EWM and the low impact it can have on lake water quality. Comfort Lake, Forest Lake staff have the experience to coordinate treatments and to acquire the DNR permits. We already do that for several other aquatic invasive plant species. Therefore, the main cost to the district would be contracting for the herbicide and application costs. We have provided estimated costs for the district to treat EWM in Table 1. Of course, with all AIS treatment costs, there's a high variability based on the amount of growth per year. And the current 2027 budget does not include funds for the treatment of EWM, only for delineations.
We're still in discussion on that, and that's why this
Yep.
topic
Yes.
was asked for, so that we could
Yes.
evaluate it.
Yep, so the recommended action is, staff recommend the board give staff direction, regarding the incorporation of EWM treatment costs in the 2027 budget.
Can you pull up that chart you're talking about so we can all see the numbers?
So when the chart is pulled up, those estimated costs, they're based on average historical treatment acres for EWM on the lakes. And then combined with 2026 application costs.
Sorry, I'm trying to get it so it doesn't have the whole header. Just. Here we go.
So unsurprisingly, Forest Lake has the highest estimated cost. Not surprising, given it's the largest lake, so it has the most acres of EWM. Diquat is the cheapest chemical that we use. So estimated costs on Forest Lake would be about $7,000. With Comfort and Bone Lake each being about a seventh of that cost, kind of around $1,000. Some other common chemicals like T2,4-D is about double the cost. And then some of the more expensive chemicals obviously are quite more expensive, $15,000 to $4,000 per acre. It would be advisable not to always use the cheapest herbicide, just to avoid having this EWM build up a resistance to any specific chemical. So while Diquat would be the preferred cheap estimate, it would be advisable to look at using different chemicals just to avoid that effect.
So rotate
Yeah,
every so many year basis.
yeah.
Okay. Now, Floridone is what we used on Comfort for the all lake
Yep.
treatment, which had spectacular results.
Yes, that one was a little more difficult for us to estimate for either Forest or Bone. But the cost for Comfort Lake was about $60,000. It's just each lake has different size and depth, which
Okay.
are all very important. So we weren't very comfortable with the estimate for that.
Okay.
Madam President,
Yes. Go ahead.
Mike, I have a question about how these are assimilated with the fish and the wildlife. Is there any health risks there?
So there are risks. There are risks to definitely native vegetation. These chemicals are not selective, so just they'll affect any native vegetation in the treatment area, which would have a cascading effect on native fish species or invertebrates. And then there is some research out there suggesting these chemicals can be harmful to fish. That is one of the main reasons the DNR was proposing restrictions on dicot for the curly leaf pondweed treatment. They've they have research suggesting that there's negative effects on walleye fry. But they all do have treatment rates that are prescribed by the government to follow.
Okay, so following along top to bottom here, dicot seems like a pretty low cost, right? Procellipur
Extremely high cost.
does it have bigger impact, better results? What makes it so expensive?
I'll need to follow up with you on that.
Is it targeted just for these specific things? Okay, I know for Floridone didn't impact the lilies, which was a big deal with the DNR, of course, and us as well. So that's a good thing. We wouldn't want that to impact any of the natives in the littoral zones, or minimal impact anyway, so you would need to maybe highlight those types of.
Yeah, so whenever we do treatment maps for aquatic invasive species, that's really why we just try to focus on the high density areas. And not just target any areas that have invasive species. Because if they're present in a low density, that means there's some other native vegetation in the area as well.
Okay. Okay, so you still have some questions to answer, and we would like to have this, I think, by the end of this month. So we can wrap up the discussion on the budget.
So what was the purpose of this topic? I know we talked about in the last meeting, whether we want to pick up on this, right?
Whether the district should take over doing the
Right.
EWM. Some of that information from the beginning isn't accurate anymore. It's not just a nitrate hungry plant. It also has phosphorus indications now, and it's published now anyway. And so the discussion was whether or not we should do this along with our program. You know, not pick out, I think that the only reason EWM was set aside was the thought that it didn't have any phosphorus relationship, but it does. So, and it has, you know, the way it got in our lake, and Bone, I know, had some problems with it too, but the way it got in our lake is that it was on the north end, it was so thick that it wasn't allowing sun to get down into the plant root area. And so other plants were dying off, and you couldn't get a boat past it. You couldn't swim in it. So it didn't meet any of the criteria of a healthy lake, according to the Clean Water Council. So, and published information for the goals of the state. So it's a bigger issue than we knew it to be 10, 15 years ago. And so I think it was appropriate to have this discussion. It seemed to be encouraged by the rest of the board at the meetings that I brought it up. But I find it very difficult personally to pick and choose the, EWM, or excuse me, the AIS that we're going to treat. So, we had that new one that came about, Starry Stormworth, that's got the focus, you know, from the state now. And if that shows up, we're going to treat that, but we're not going to treat, EWM. So it's illogical to me, and I just, can't find out why we're not doing it. I don't have a good answer to that.
Well, there's a lot of good information here.
There is.
On why we haven't done it in the past. So, I mean, it's, for one thing, it may have some phosphorus, but because it's a natural material, and when it dies, it could create
It has the
phosphorus.
same, yeah,
But,
impact.
but unlike curly pondweed that dies during the season, the vegetation then decays and then creates material for the algae. In this case, it continues all the way through into the fall before it dies. So when it dies, there's no impact on the algae because the season's over. The water temperatures are low, it doesn't make any difference. And that's why it's not a water quality issue. That was one of the main reasons we decided not to treat it, because of that reason. So I'm just sharing what was in the report here, so.
Yeah,
That's one reason. So maybe we should take a straw vote to see how many people think we should treat or not treat, so.
President
Mhm.
Anderson, Matthew did forward me some information about, Procelicor.
mhm,
It's the most effective because it treats both EWM and, hybrid Eurasian water milfoil and has systemic results, that are seen for up to 5 years.
so it's effective.
Yeah,
Mhm. Okay,
And that affects also
yeah,
natural plants too, right?
yeah, it would.
Okay.
I thought this was a select,
I'll double check.
product, yeah.
No, right now we've got a program, of course, Forest Lake and the Forest Lake Association is primary involvement in this whole thing for a number of years, and we've been able to, it came in about 8 years ago, and we've been able to contain it primarily to Lake One. We've got a little in Lake Two and a little in Lake Three, but each year we go after it, and we're never gonna get rid of it, but we're trying to contain it mainly to Lake One, so it doesn't get out of control.
Mhm.
But I think the program that we should probably recommend all lakes go to is have some kind of an agreement with the city and the Lake Association to share costs on a certain level of lake management. And this could be covered under that kind of a program. That's what we have with the city of Forest Lake. So that's been working for us, even though we have high costs, it's still been working for us.
Mhm. Yeah,
President Anderson,
yes, go ahead.
I would agree with what Steve just said. You know, this is a bigger issue than just the Lake Association and the watershed district. The county and the city should somehow be involved in this process too, as far as paying for the treatment, because they do have a stake in the quality of our lakes as well.
Do you have an agreement with your, city?
We do not.
Yeah, okay. Mhm.
Well, you can look at our tri-party agreement that we've had in place for about 8 or 9 years now. And that we always had this going on, but it was informal. And there was always problems keeping records. So we finally formalized it, got agreement. And now the watershed's part of it also. So, but in this case, they don't participate in the only cost available on EWM is the cost watershed puts in for,
Delineations.
yeah, the measurement of what has to be done. So.
How much does the city contribute, Steve?
It's set up right now where I think it's, I think 40% for the city, 40% for us, watershed district, and I think 20 for the Lake Association. It might be 22.5 and others might be a little smaller, but it's around that ratio, Dave, I think, if I recall.
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, you've been looking at it, so you probably have better numbers than I do.
It's 22.5 for,
22.5, yeah,
for the
that's what.
watershed.
Yeah, okay.
or for the Lake Association. Excuse me.
So then what we have is we have a maximum amount. In our case, it was 150,000 for the total program. The city puts in 60. This year, we've actually got them to escalate over the next 2 years to 200,000, or is it 180? I can't remember. Do you remember?
I'm pulling it up before I say the wrong thing. 1 sec.
I don't think it's all the way to 200. It was
No.
maybe 180 or
Maybe
something.
the third year is.
Yeah, it's a 3-year program. Because we had no increases.
So Steve, the county isn't chipping in any money into this
No,
process.
the county has an AIS program, dollars available, but that's been shrunk down along with the other grants that have been cut back. The Lake Association gets some dollars from Washington County to Flowering Rush because they're concerned about that getting out of the lake and spreading down to the rivers and everything else. So they do have a small budget. You could apply for money there too, and they may cover EWM. I'm not sure, but I don't think we get any EWM money from them at all.
Are these estimates based on the delineations that we've been getting
It's the
the last
average.
3 or so?
We went back to 2015 for Forest Lake, 2014 for Comfort and Bone.
Okay.
On the years treatment was done.
Okay, so 4.66 acres is the average, 3.37 for Bone?
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. So what I'm hearing is that if we do the same type of agreements with Wyoming and Scandia, try to get the counties involved if possible, we could have the same type of arrangement that Forest Lake has. Okay. Well, I think that's reasonable. I mean, we don't have huge expenditures for those. And I think the lake associations could certainly put some money into a similar agreement, don't you, Dave?
Yeah, I like the idea of this partnership, President Anderson, in that we're trying to encourage the city to be more proactive, at least in Scandia, in our water quality issues. It's in their mission statement, it's in their strategic plan, but we don't always see the dollars flowing that way. So I do like this idea that Forest Lake and the Lake Association has. That partnership can be made stronger across the watershed district.
Yeah, and if we do it in that combination way that you did, you had representatives from the district as well as the lake association.
Right.
Okay, so if you could coordinate, the district could coordinate those same type of agreements for Comfort and Bone. Yeah.
You know, the other thing to point out to the cities, of course, is that, you know, your lake isn't as big as ours, but the lake property carries a real premium. About half of the value of the lake property comes from the lake shore. The other is from the size of the lot and the type of house you have. So that is a real boost. I think if I remember correctly, maybe 8 or 10 years ago when we did a study, I think 9% of the households live on the lake for Forest Lake, but they contribute just for that extra charge 38% of the operating, 38% of the tax levy that came out of the property taxes.
Probably right. Yeah.
So they're getting a lot of money from your lake, but nothing's coming back to the lake, and that was our argument to get 60,000
Yeah.
established. So.
Well, can we rely on staff then to create the meetings and?
Yep.
and-
Yes, staff can engage with the cities.
Sure.
Sounds like the lake associations would be supportive. There'll be the
Yeah.
cities who we have to get on board.
Well, I think Dave and I can bring those to the lake associations pretty quickly, and I don't think there would be any trouble, especially at the numbers that we're talking about, contributing.
And I have the tri-party in front of me. It's,
Yeah, you've got all the details.
yep, the city contributes 42%, the district 42.5%, or sorry, city 42.5%, district 42.5%, while the lake association is responsible for 15%.
And the other thing we put in the last couple of years is the fact that if you have money left over, like if it's 150,000, the max that you have to put in, and then it cuts off. If you only do 130, everybody's got extra money they put in, it goes into a kind of an escrow account. So you can build that up. So if you have a surprise one year, you've got the money in there to do something. with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. All right.
Mike, if you could let me know when you plan to meet with the city of Scandia, I'll certainly make an effort to be there too. So we can be there together.
Can do, yep.
I'm gonna make a motion, on this so that we have it recorded. It's not just, chewing gum and so on, but anyway, I'll make the motion that the Comfort Lake Forest Lake Watershed District, work with Bone Lake and, Comfort Lake independently with their, cities, to create a document similar to the one that, we've had for a few years now on Forest Lake.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call.
All right, Manager Shotmiller. You're muted.
Sorry, I didn't
All
realize I
right,
did that.
Manager Baki.
Aye.
Manager Taves.
Aye.
Manager Schmaltz.
Aye.
President Anderson.
Aye, thank you. Thank you for the discussion. It's helpful. Okay, next item under old business is Eurasian Water Milfoil Policy. Oops, no, we've already done that one. Comfort Lake delisting event recap.
Madam President, managers, Adam is here this evening to go over it.
Make sure I'm unmuted. President Henderson, managers, just a quick one slide recap of the event, and then I'll kind of turn it back to you folks for some discussion. We had the event on June 17th. There were 41 people in attendance, and that included the staff and 4 board members were there. Our expenses, food and beverages, so the pizza and water and snacks and that kind of stuff, we were right around $550. Printed and postage, which we did in-house, was $108. And then we had EOR staff time for double checking the slides, and then Ann presented some info. So total expenses for the event were $1,240.69. I think it was a great event. It was a little smaller than Bone Lake, but I think the right people were there. One hiccup was it was the same night as Chisago County Board meeting. We thought we'd have some Chisago staff there, but we have a strike going on up there. So we had a few hiccups in Chisago County, but we had good diverse attendance, I think. So
Adam, I apologize. I wasn't in attendance. I had a conflict that came up last minute. So
President Anderson,
Yes,
I just want to congratulate you and Comfort Lake for this achievement. And I also want to thank Steve for really pushing this issue for us to move forward with this celebration, because it was the right thing to do. It was a wonderful event, and I want to thank the staff. Kudos to all who did the organization. It was well organized, and all the presentations were spot on. So I think it really was a good thing to do, and it was something hopefully we can continue to support.
Well said.
thank you. Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
I think the presentation from Bowser was really, really impressive. And they were really pro work that we had done.
Mhm.
And even though it wasn't official yet from the federal government, they didn't make mention of that at all. So, which was fine, that's exactly what they should have done. And so it was great. It was a great show. And the presentations were excellent. You did
Yeah.
a nice, beautiful introduction. So
I
you
repeat.
get a lot of practice on that one.
I do. I have a lot of practice on it. Yeah, I thought the presentations were just the right length, with the points that mattered, so that people understood what happened. And, it was nice having, staff there. Blaine, of course, always does a nice job on the programs, but EOR and, presence, I think that was really superb. And it helps reinforce how scientific we have to work. We can't just, dream something up. We've got to have that science and engineering expertise behind everything we do. So we appreciated that too. And she put the picture up that I wanted. I don't think anybody else on our lake has seen that, but we'll be watching for it this year.
Your mayor was very.
Oh,
impressive.
she's eloquent.
I've never
Yeah.
seen anybody as good as she was.
Yeah, she's really good, really good. We'll be inviting her on a pontoon ride really soon. Yeah, I think
I mean, she really gets
the whole
it. I mean,
neighborhood, yeah.
She gets the whole story. I mean,
Yeah.
It was so obvious.
Mhm.
I wish, well, never mind.
Well, she's, yeah, I know. We had that once in Camelot. With Mayor.
You can
Mayor Danaher.
invite her on the boat ride and then hit her
Yeah.
up for the EWM money.
Yeah.
right?
It'll be a working.
That's gonna be pocket change for them.
Yeah, well, thank you. All right. And thanks to staff too, everything that Manager Bobby said, I think we all believe and thanks for doing that work. Okay. Next, reporter staff, administrator.
Madam President, managers, I think we've got a presentation here and we can go through if you want. And we have quite a collection of the staff here this evening, and maybe they want to kind of highlight and comment a little bit as we go through, depending on how many questions you may have. If you have a preference at all. But otherwise, yeah, just moving along. We've had a couple of workshops, and on the board piece, everybody knows, Loan E is in progress and available for the district to use as needed. Mike Sandiger, I don't know if you want to cover the permitting activity recent and anything that we might see in the future.
So we are in full inspection mode. We are out doing inspections on all of our active sites weekly. There are a couple large permits that were conditionally approved recently, including Amberley Woods, Havenwood, formerly Chestnut Creek Phase 2. We are still working through the conditional items on those, but we should begin to see construction this summer on those. A full list of active permits, including permit numbers and addresses, can be found within the administrator's report. But currently, pretty standard permitting items besides those couple large developments that have finally kind of made it through the permitting process. Earlier this week, staff, including EOR, met with Chisago County and their contractors on Highway 8. Huge lift for them. You can see they started preliminary design in 2021. They are nearing 90% plans. We're anticipating a permit application from them late in this year. We did get some further details on the Little Comfort crossing. It will remain a pipe, same size with the same invert, but it will need to be longer in order to accommodate the extra lanes going in. They are also planning on planting pine trees between the trail and road near the bridge in order to reduce noise bouncing out from large trucks over the lake. That was they went that route for the aesthetics of having a nice planting. And then the county staff, as we discussed, will be reaching out to you, President Anderson, to discuss possible outreach events within the district. So project is moving along. We'll see if their project timeline stays as it is. I'd be a little surprised if it does, just because it's such a big undertaking.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that they were promoting at their open houses was having an animal opening underneath the road.
So they do have plans for a turtle tunnel. I haven't looked at the specifics. I believe Craig, did you get a look?
We don't have specific plans for that, but yeah, between Comfort and Little Comfort, there's going to be the main pipe that's going to be essentially the same but longer, but then kind of up at a higher elevation, they're going to have another essentially a pipe opening that turtles or other critters can hopefully go under the road as opposed to over, which
Otters, all of those things.
which someone has to train them to do that, but hopefully at least some portion of them will find their way through
I
there.
will fittest, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
And I
so-
think they're actually putting a couple other ones along that corridor as well between some of the wetland
Yeah.
areas,
There's still a lot of activity, animal activity.
for sure.
Okay, very
Yep.
good, thank you.
Yeah, county staff has been really responsive to staff comments, so, we've been pretty tied in with what they're doing. And it's good that they're meeting with us before submitting the application, because
Yeah,
too late at that point.
okay, thank you. Okay, next. Anything else?
Blaine can cover monitoring.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you, Madam President, managers. Our monitoring program continues as planned. Again, we're involved with the camp program with Met Council, so we're out taking samples twice a month on all of our major lakes. We're entering into week 6 here coming up. Just finished up week 5. And we did get the Forest Lake level logger back online. We had the sensor had a malfunction, so we got a replacement unit for that. And that is again up and running. So folks can go to our website and click on the link to the HydroView, which is what you're seeing here. There is a guidance document also on the web page as well. So that can be the button right next to the HydroView link. It's a user guide for folks to take a look at how to use the HydroView. The scale on the bottom there can be a little tricky. A lot of times you see just a straight line, but if you are to click off on the right-hand side, you can turn the sensors on and off. If you isolate the lake of interest, whether it be Comfort Lake or Forest Lake, if you just turn on that one sensor, turn the other 2 off, it'll adjust the scale so you can see the variability in the data set itself. You can also put your cursor on the data line, trend line there, and it'll give you a readout for that particular data point. However, when you're viewing all 3 sensors at once, it basically just looks like straight lines for the actual elevation of the lake. The temperature on top is a little bit more variable, larger swings, so it looks a little bit more dramatic.
have you noticed the lakes being down at all? There have been some complaints on Comfort,
Yeah, they're a little lower than average. Hopefully the rain that we've been getting here will bump that back up closer to average, but
But nothing dangerous. I mean,
No.
we're not talking about, super lows. Okay, very good. Thank you. What's this?
I'll just cover this really quickly. We closed out several grants this month, and then more applications are coming in. And that's all that is really noted on that one. More can be found in the report. Go ahead, Adam.
And Tori, I can follow up a little bit. Do you want to bounce back one slide on that? So I think a good thing to notice on that is the grants of those 3 projects approved in 2025 and 4 from 2026. So just reinforces that idea that it takes a while. We have to have multiple conversations with folks. Some of these folks attend a lot of different events, before we get them to commit and understand the importance of a project and a grant. So some of these, it's a year or 2 in the works for us to get a project going. So now you can go to the next one, Tori. Just a couple bigger events that we had: the North Shore Trail Nature Area Walk and Talk. Aiden was our MC for the evening. Manager Schmalz, Manager Schottmiller were there at that one. And then we had the Hardwood Creek Library Walk and Talk around the stormwater ponds and the restorations over there. I did that one. Also some other community ed events going on, but those were kind of our big 2. And then the delisting, which we also already talked about.
Thank you.
Can take this one. So really quick, Lower St. Croix Watershed Partnership update. The next policy committee is Monday, July 29th. We just had a the planning team and budget subcommittee had met earlier today. And a couple of agenda items for July 29th will include the Lower St. Croix PRAP, or Performance Review and Assistance Program, which I'll talk about on the next slide too. And then also Angie and Barbara are going to do a presentation on kind of the overall Sunrise River watershed. I believe this was discussed at the last policy committee meeting about how that sub-watershed has the most nutrient loading coming to the St. Croix. And so they're pulling together some information from online and various partners. Comfort Lake Forest Lakes project will be highlighted, our Sunrise River wetland restoration. So looking forward to that. I think it'll be a good presentation on the partnership's work.
If I can just add to that, just to jog people's memory, the Lower St. Croix has been doing the measurements that we do, their cost analysis really, and they had one that was, I don't know, it was way more than it should have been, and as far as cost benefit. And so they announced that there weren't any agenda items for July, and so I asked, it was the issue following that presentation that I talked about, I asked why we're not doing more work from the Sunrise River sub-watershed, part of the Lower St. Croix, because it does, as Emily said, produce by far and away the largest input of phosphorus to the St. Croix River, and told them that, you know, the smart way to do it is to take your biggest loads and get rid of those first, and then go down to your mediums and smaller loads. And I'm looking forward to that. I hope they understood what the request was and how to tackle that program, not just what they've done, but strategically, how would you approach that Sunrise River corridor? It is huge as you go north of Wyoming. So I'm anxious to see what they present and looking forward to bringing it to the board. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. That'll do it for Lower St. Croix. Thanks.
Okay.
All right, I can speak to the research, 3007. We did take out University of Minnesota researcher Catherine Polk, excuse me. She, if you recall, she's doing some research on post-alum treatment lakes, looking at ecological response and nutrient cycling after alum treatments. She did give a presentation to the board last year at the August 14th meeting. If you're interested in her research, I recommend going back and looking at that presentation. There should be a recording of her presentation. It was very interesting. She's continuing her research as part of her doctorate study, her PhD work, and she'll be collecting additional samples throughout the summer and then working on her thesis as well. So we should see some results from her research, perhaps this fall or perhaps next year, depending on the timing that she gets her everything completed and written up.
It's really nice to be doing this kind of work. I know we've done several of these over time, but it's really interesting to help these next layer of scientists coming along. Thank you.
President, Emily, you want to get back on this next one?
Yep.
A couple different ones, slides and grants as well. Thank you.
Sure, thanks. So as I noted, it's been a year for PRAP. The Lower St. Croix is undergoing theirs, and I'm organizing with Don Bayumpa at Bowser for him to attend that July Policy Committee meeting. In parallel, he is also still working on the PRAP for Comfort Lake Forest Lake. We've gotten all of our documentation to him as of a couple months ago. So the ball's in his court. He's working on it. I know that he's been really swamped with a lot of PREPs on the schedule. It's not just Lower St. Croix and us this year. There's several others. I think they're hiring some more staff. So I've been staying in touch with him. I know he's working on it, and they should be hiring another staff person soon too. So I'm hoping that this will come back to our board as well in the next couple of months, and he'll be able to present that final report. Got a couple of slides on grants here. So in unfortunate news, our 2 applications to the Clean Water Fund competitive grants, the Projects and Practices program, were not selected for funding. As we kind of anticipated, they received a lot more applications than they were able to award. Applicants requested about 3 times more than funding available, which is no surprise because not only did they lower the amount of funding that was available, but now they're switching to every other year. So it's less funding than they used to offer in 1 year, and now it covers 2 years. So it's getting spread really thin and more competitive than ever. The next round is expected to open in early 2028, with potentially further decreased funding availability. But luckily, the Comfort Lake Forest Lake Watershed District has been expanding our grant seeking net. We've been, Clean Water Fund has really been our bread and butter for a lot of years. We've been the top winner in the Projects and Practices program for the last 10 plus years cumulatively. But we've been going to other programs. We've seen some success with Lessard SAMS, kind of expanding into foundations and other things that might not be the norm for watershed districts. So, it's unfortunate that these weren't awarded, but we're working hard to expand that grant seeking portfolio and find other grants to fund projects like this.
Emily, a quick question. Any understanding or reason why the Clean Water Fund is decreasing the amount they're awarding?
Generally, they've been sending more money toward the watershed-based implementation funding. So kind of the one watershed, one plan realm. And so we do have we've also been very successful with tapping into those funds in partnership with the Lower St. Croix. And we've got some other applications on the horizon for those. We're working on that next grant work plan presently. So in general, I would say it's because they're shifting away from competitive and more toward this one watershed, one plan cooperative model.
Thank you.
Brings up a point, Manager Anderson.
Go ahead.
So what is the evaluation strategy for Bowser to compare what was accomplished when we had competitive grants over those 8 or 9 years versus what's getting done now through the one watershed, one plan option for the monies? We should ask them to have a presentation each year on comparing the difference, because you know very well that lower one watershed one, the monies are not going into big projects like we normally do, right? They're going into small. Any project's a good project.
Yeah.
So
Well, I know, but we've been trying to train our particular area to our way of doing things, and I think they're picking it up, and incorporating it as best they can. But this is new to a lot of them, doing it the way that the scientific approach, even though it's mandated by statute, it seems to be more influenced by the SWCDs, as we've talked about forever and ever. They outnumber us 3-1, so there's just no way that they can't bend more toward their way of doing things. But that's why you have to have, I don't know, you have to have someone on that board that has experience from a watershed perspective. And I think that, we're making some good headway that way. And a lot of the attention on our sub-watershed, or excuse me, our one watershed, one plan, the Lower St. Croix, is because of the MREP, the work that MREP does. And we hired her name's Barbara, right? Yeah, first name is Barbara. She is working for us 100%, meaning the Lower St. Croix. She's housed with the MRAP folks in Washington County. So there is a little bit of overlap there. When they've got downtime, they work, to make sure everybody's covered. But I think a lot of it is that we have been able to communicate more aptly about the work that we are doing. On top of the fact that our watershed has really provided a different way to look at things, and it is being incorporated. So I think that's a good thing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Emily, do you know, though, to the question that he raised, Manager Schmalz raised about any conversations that you have at your level? Emily's on the steering committee and all of those committees that actually run the day-to-day. So I want to ask her if there's been conversations about methodologies, strategies, that kind of thing going on. I'm not quite sure myself how that works, other than at the policy committee meetings, bringing up things, from the representatives that way. And then I'll ask Mike the same thing. They might have more insight on that question. I'll start with you, Emily.
Yeah, so we recently discussed this, and Comfort Lake Forest Lake was not the only one that didn't get our grant request. Chisago SWCD, who has also historically been one of the big winners in that program, also wasn't funded. And so we were talking about this at a steering committee meeting, and Bowser attends those, and they said, we know that these funds are going down, there's less and less available. The best way that you can do that is to talk to the Clean Water Council and to talk to the higher ups at Bowser. So we've kind of complained to the people at our level, Josh Norman, who's our board conservationist, and Barb Peichel, who's kind of our One Watershed, One Plan rep. They know that this is a problem for us, these decreasing competitive grants. And they said, you really got to kind of run it up the ladder. And so I think that was possibly something that was discussed at the Clean Water Council. I know that Bowser had been asking for partners to give a summary of their, why we need these competitive grants. And they compiled all of the projects that had been done, a lot from Comfort Lake Forest Lake. And I think it's being discussed.
Good, thank you. Mike, do you have anything to add?
No, I just had earlier, I believe it was today, we received a summary, or late yesterday, from Jen Cater from at the Clean Water Council. She's now the executive director. She had participated, she was with Freshwater Society and was a facilitator for the Lower St. Croix. So we can look at those notes and see what got filtered up, I guess, into that. But just for the rest of the board, President Anderson and I attended that Clean Water Council meeting on the 15th, I believe it was, and provided a summary sheet of what the request was, plus a memo. And I think maybe it was distributed. I can't remember. So
I believe so. Everyone should have gotten that, all the managers.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what the next step is, though, in that process with the Clean Water Council. But they are supposed to be meeting and using some of the suggestions that were provided at that meeting on how to do the next step and so on. And whittle down to an effective way to distribute the dollars. And one of my table suggestions was that we use the same rubric that they put together for that first step. I suggested for our group, our table, that we do the same thing going to the next step, is that we first of all look for all of the water related entities that are doing the work on the ground, and that would be primarily watershed districts, WMOs, and SWCDs that are involved, especially in the metro area with water projects. So, and then any other requests would just go in that relationship order, you know, down the ladder. So I'm hoping that they do that. That means that more money would be focused at the watershed districts and WMOs, people doing the actual work, and then save the research and, you know, all of the other things that come in for further down the run. If there's money left over, that's where you spend that money. So hopefully, I'm waiting to see what, you know, what comes out of that. I know that they've got their own committee meetings that they're going through, and then they'll meet as a group to select, you know, the way forward. And if you get those, Mike, and I don't, just always send them to me when you receive them. I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just send it to this full board. There is a survey within that email from Jen Cater, and it's just basically allowing the board and the members of the public to provide input.
Good. Okay, that means they're moving on, and so that's good. I was very impressed with that meeting. Jen's doing a great job. And opening up the doors, so to speak, to the council so that anybody, everybody that was invited to help them hone up their processes and maybe think about things in a different way so that we can have maximum benefit for the waters of Minnesota. It was a day well spent. Okay, next item.
We still have a couple more slides on this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Just another grant news, couple more slides on grants. As one door might close this round on one side of the Clean Water Land and Legacy Amendment. The Lessard Sams is on the other side. And we've been approved for 2 grants. This has been a long time coming. It's a long process, but you know, they were officially approved by the legislature. Our accomplishment plans have been approved by the council. And so we are on track. We're going to get those, that grant agreement executed. After July 1st, we can begin incurring eligible expenditures. We can't get reimbursed until we actually execute the grant agreement, which we hope will be sometime in July. That'll be a little bit dependent on the Lessard Sams Council staff being able to process everything. But we're on a good track, and we're, you know, as we've been kind of approving some of these things for the Bone Lake South, you know, conditional upon a July 1st start date, we're going to be hitting the ground running with these projects. So we're excited to see those come through.
Yeah, and just to be clear, this Bone Lake is the second phase of money coming in, right? First
Yep,
was
we had 2 grants for phase 1, which was the acquisition, and then it also paid for the fencing that we completed out there. And now phase 2 will be this sort of bigger holistic enhancement and restoration.
Okay, great. Thank you. And the Greenbelt phase, when is that money coming in?
So that we can start incurring expenditures July 1st, and we can get reimbursed after the grant agreement is executed. It's on the same timeline as the Bone Lake grant.
Wonderful. Thank you. That's exciting.
And then just a quick note here, we, although it felt like a really long time to get the Bone Lake South Phase 1 acquisition done, and it was a process full of twists and turns, turns out we are the only grant of that round of Lessard Sams, the ML 2023 at the bottom row on that screenshot there. We're the only ones who have fully completed our project and closed it out. So just glad that we're getting that project done and kind of hopefully making a good impression in that program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, managers, I'll note that having attended many of the meetings, this is a common topic of conversation from the council members is about whether or not the projects, what the progress is. So this will bode well for the district in future years and applications. Thank you, Emily.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I just want to thank the staff for their hard work in making this all happen. I mean, you guys carried the load and did a great job, so kudos.
Is there something else here? that we need to talk about?
I won't cover this one, I believe,
Okay,
unless he dropped off. No, he's here. Sorry, Blaine. go
Or
ahead.
Blaine's here.
Yep, I can speak to the operations and maintenance, O&M. We have been working with the city of Forest Lake with the clearing of the iron enhanced sand filters out at the CR50 iron enhanced sand filter. They've got some new machinery, and they were able to give us some time on that machinery. They staffed it, of course. But we'll be using them to do the vegetation maintenance and tilling of the iron enhanced sand filter moving forward. They're giving us a really nice rate on that service. Can do it much more efficiently with their equipment than our staff going out there and trying to clear those weeds, keep them out of the filter. We've also had the Minnesota Conservation Corps crew that came out. They assisted with some buckthorn removal at Shields Lake Park, another joint project with the city of Forest Lake. And they also spent some additional time out at the CR50 iron enhanced sand filter, removing some of the vegetation that this machine can't quite get out of the filter. It pushes it to the sides, and then you have to kind of rake it out from the side or pitchfork it out. So they were able to complete that process. Moving forward, we'll have them a couple more times this summer, so they may be able to assist with this again. Staff has also been going out and doing our surveys of all the past projects, collecting data and identifying maintenance needs.
is there still a problem with Shields Lake?
So the work that the Conservation Corps did was just some vegetation work along the shoreline. The city expanded the park that they have there, and there's some invasive species that they were hoping to remove. The crew came in, Aiden supervised, they removed the brush. The city went in afterwards and did some chemical treatments and hauled off the material. So nothing really directly related to any of the projects we've been doing for water quality on the lake there.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Next up, it looks like it's me for AIS prevention and management. Try to keep it brief, but Blue Water Science has begun providing maps for the curleaf pondweed. The map on the left there is the initial delineation for 123.74 acres. And then the June 4th and 5th assessment showed great control in all the treatment areas. There was some observed curleaf pondweed growth outside of those, but that's likely late season sprouting. Want to go to the next? And speaking of Blue Water Science, they began performing Eurasian water milfoil delineation surveys. They'll be out again in July. Staff did receive a report of potential curly leaf heavy growth on the northern portion of Comfort Lake. So we had gone out and did a quick rapid assessment. And it is noted that our maps pretty much align directly with the ones provided by Blue Water Science. Blue Water Science was out there on May 22nd, and we were out on June 4th. Next. One final thing here, July 1st, 10 a.m., we will be releasing some purple loosestrife Garicella beetles, and that's for biological control. We begin collecting beetles and plants first in May, following DNR guidelines and regulations, and then basically inoculated them with the beetles on the left-hand side there. You can actually see a bunch of the eggs. They're little yellow dots on those leaves and the damage that the beetles had already done. On the right hand is after the larva had hatched. So you can see there's extensive more damage there. And then they go into a pupate stage where they're currently in, and then within a week here, they should hopefully be emerging. And one plant with 10 beetles initially put onto it can produce several hundred beetles. So hopefully we see some results as the time continues.
Yep, and we're planning on releasing those beetles on Keewatin and Forest Lake.
So have you, just a checking question, if I walk down to the shoreline and I saw all those beetles on vegetation, I'd get my sprayer out.
Yeah.
So have you notified that this is a controlled?
That is a good point I haven't considered, no.
No?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people like me out there, they love sprayers.
basically, it should be noted that the Garicella beetle, I've heard it referenced as a coevolution, so it lives its entire life on the purple loosestrife plants. They will travel from plant to plant, but they do not actually go and basically target any other vegetation. So,
Well, I wonder how many shoreline owners know that.
yeah, it is something we should definitely send out.
Yeah. Thank you. Good point.
Or put a sign or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, really quick here, just in the realm of watershed planning and resiliency. We've got the action plan framework approved. EOR is working on the project feasibility, so we'll be in contact with them once they get rolling on that, and then in contact with the cities and provide updates to the board in the future. And then the watershed management plan amendment, it was adopted at the last regular board meeting on the 11th, and then we distributed it on the 15th. And printed copies of the additional pages are at the office and can be made available. And the full embedded pages with the newly amended pages are on our copy of the plan online as well.
Okay, is that it?
One more.
One more?
I think
Okay.
it's last.
Yep, last slide, I can cover this, just a few quick project updates. We did complete the first phase of the fencing out at Bone Lake South Nature area using grant funds. We got about 85% of it completed. There's still a section on the southern side that we'll be working on after July 1. I got a nice photo there of a bobolink enjoying our new fence posts. Staff are continuing to develop the management plan for that property, and that statement of work was presented to the board here for assistance from EOR. So we'll get working with EOR on kind of finishing up that plan and presenting it to the board here for additional review and input. We're also working on contracting for the Heath Avenue Iron Enhanced Sand Filter. If you recall, last board meeting, we selected a D&D contracting for that project. We're just working on the paperwork right now, getting all the contracts in place, the bids, insurance, making sure that everything's as it should be. Once we get that all finalized, we'll be scheduling a pre-project meeting out there with the contractor, and then also having a public open house out there as well, just inviting the neighbors to let them know timing of the project, the benefits, kind of what they'll be seeing for the next 6 months or so while the project's being implemented. And
Yeah,
that's
be sure to let the board members know when that's taking place.
we will. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. What's growing in the background on the field? Is it just natural grass or what is that?
Hay, alfalfa, cool season grasses. This is the
Okay.
area that was hayed for decades, so it's a nice clean crop of hay growing up there right now.
Yeah, it looks really nice. Thank you very much for all your hard work. It's nice to have this kind of review a little bit longer than we usually do, but much appreciated. Thank you. Next is EOR.
I don't think I have anything to add, but you should update your slide to say PhD PE.
Oh, you're right. Thank you.
Yeah.
But besides that, I think district staff covered everything quite well. So nothing else for me.
What is EIT?
Engineering training, that's what
Okay.
you are before you become a PE. Like you have to have a certain number of years of experience before you can take the final test.
Where's her PhD? Is that in the limnology area?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. It's impressive.
Look at Emily already on top of it.
Already done.
Good.
Never had.
All right, next is Smith Partners.
Madam Chair, managers first, Greg, congratulations to Ann, please. Otherwise, just one item that may be of interest to you. It was only recently, maybe in the past month or so, that Wind was caught of rulemaking being in process by the Minnesota Plumbers Board that involved expanding the requirement for work to be done by licensed plumbers, but even more concernedly was aimed at basically prohibiting the use of stormwater in reuse, even for non-potable reuse. And an informal coalition was pulled together pretty quickly. Jan Voigt at Minnesota Watersheds did a really good job. Also ranging from Metro Watershed Districts, particularly Anna Illyria at Capital Region Watershed District, out to Rob Sipp at the Red River Board up in northwestern Minnesota, at a number of entities, including the Landscape Association, landscape architects, golf course superintendents, the Minnesota Association of Cemeteries, Associated General Contractors, as well as League of Cities and Minnesota Watersheds, about a couple of dozen entities. So they pulled together quickly and filed some letters of concern, and there was a meeting of the board this Tuesday. My partner Lewis was there and offered testimony along with about 30 other representatives against the rulemaking, and the plumbing board withdrew the rule, or has pulled it back, and has pledged to undertake better outreach and engagement with interested parties. So it was a very good and quick mobilization, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Great. They were talking about that at the last Metro watershed meeting, and yeah, it was kind of I think most of the meeting is to talk about that and the impact that it could have. So that's good news. Thank you. Okay, next is the report of treasurer.
Okay, our income for this month was $42,029.79. So it was kind of low. I expect our next levy check in the first part of July, right?
Yeah.
So we got one more month to go in this month.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and then also our expenses for the month were $303,207.71. The transfer required will be $530,000 this month. So I'll need a motion then to accept the treasurer's report and to authorize payment of the bills for this month. And then we'll actually ask Brad to go over the cash flow so we see how we're doing towards June. Okay.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion, yes.
Okay. Is there a second?
I will
I'll
second that motion.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Lee.
All right, Manager Schottmuller.
Aye.
Thank you. Manager Baki.
Aye.
Manager Taves.
Aye.
Manager Schmaltz.
Aye.
President Anderson.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Thank you.
So as you know, we've been tracking cash flow. So Brad will take you through the work we've done through June, and then he'll send everybody a copy so you have your own copy to look at.
Emily, will you pull that up, or is it in inventories?
Just the next slide following the treasurer's report. It's in the same.
Oh, my bad.
Thanks, Emily.
Oh, perfect.
Give me a second.
Thank you. As you can see, this is the cash flow estimates, cash flow projection for the first 6 months. As we project or progress through the year, May numbers have been updated there. We're looking pretty good. We're spending as anticipated. Looking into June, we will be making it through with the cash that we have on hand when the levy comes in, levy dollars come in. So I will provide this, Treasurer Schmaltz and I sat down and looked at it today, and we'll provide it out to all the board members as a separate attachment. I'll send it out after the meeting.
It's close. We'll end up with 54,000, so that's pretty tight. But I think things are gonna get better the second half. Mike and I and you met, and so maybe you can talk about that at the next meeting, or maybe when we at the next topic, when we look at that budget transfer for the iron and hope that we maybe talk about that.
We can do that, and then also just to note that we'll be projecting out for the next quarter here, moving forward, and then provide a 6-month through the remainder of the year as well to the board for planning purposes.
Staff's doing a good job and looking for money and so forth, and so we're making steady progress to get ahead of the curve here. So they're doing a nice job. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Yes, President Anderson.
Go ahead.
I'd also like to thank the staff for working on this. This is, it really helps give us a more finite view of the cash flow, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on. Report of managers. I'm gonna start with the people on the video. Manager Schottmuller.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Manager Taves.
Nothing new here either.
Thank you. Manager Baki.
Ditto, nothing to report. Thank you.
Santa's coming.
Hey, Santa's coming.
Tori, not yet. You have to wait. Next week.
Yeah, next week though. I just want to make sure everyone knew who was coming.
For those of you who don't know, Santa does water ski around Bone Lake on the 4th of July and throws candy to all the children. So if you want to come join us on Bone Lake, you're most welcome.
Tori will be there.
Tori will be there.
Manager Schmaltz.
Nothing to report.
Okay, I have nothing to report. Okay, so next is summary and approval of board direction.
Madam Chair, managers, staff will return next meeting to frame out the board's consideration of whether Mr. Kramlich should stay on the advisory committee. Mr. Kinney is asked to pass on Clean Water Council, Clean Water Fund materials to the managers. It's suggested that staff think about how to educate owners about the Galaricella beetle and purple loosestrife. And then staff is asked to prepare materials and outreach to educate turtles and otters about using the Highway 8 culvert.
Okay, Smarty Pants. Thank you for that complete review. Any changes, anything missing from the board perspective?
Let me just make one comment before we adjourn. Just remind the managers that aren't here, there's materials on our next budget meeting.
Yeah.
So you can pick them up on the outside window, outside the office anytime. They're in a green folder.
Okay.
And they're large print so you can read them.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. The final motion is in order.
I'll move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, Manager Schottmuller,
Aye.
Manager Baki,
Aye.
Manager Taves,
Aye.
Manager Schmaltz,
Aye.
President Anderson.
Aye. Good night, all.
Good night.
Thank you.
Happy 4th of July.